Hey guys, welcome back. It's Steve from Michigan Shorts Club. Hope you all had a really good Easter. Welcome back to my home kitchen. Hope you're all doing safe in quarantine. So I want to show you how to do something really fun and easy at home, and it's really good with the kids. So we're going to show you how to make some homemade pizza dough from scratch. So we got some bread flour here. We got some regular granulated sugar, some kosher salt, some good olive oil, water, and just some quick yeast. So this is one simple, really easy thing. It's fun for the kids too. So we have measured out 3.5 cups of bread flour, and we're just gonna throw all the dry in here. So if you just have all-purpose flour at home, that's okay too. If you have some 00 flour, like we talked about from the pasta recipe, that's even better, but you're really just looking for a soft flour. So we got the flour in there. There's 1 teaspoon of sugar, 2 teaspoons of kosher salt, and 1 package of dry yeast. So all we want to do is just quick bring all these dry ingredients together in our mixer. Awesome. So here we have 1.5 cups of warm water. So it's been heated to 110 degrees. If you do not have a thermometer at home, that's okay. I usually consider the rule of like bathtub water. So typically you run like your hot tub or bathtub around like 100 to 105 degrees. So I usually go off of that feel. So if you dip your finger in there or something warm, if it feels just a little bit warmer to the touch, that's usually around the 110 degree mark. You don't really want to go above 120. So we started mixing and we slowly stream the water in. So the yeast is mixing with the sugar, and the warm water is what's going to activate the yeast and bring the dough some life and give it body. Once most of the flour is incorporated, then we stream in our 2 tablespoons of some really good olive oil. If you don't have any good olive oil at home, just a simple, neutral, high-fatty oil would work. I've used avocado oil with this, and grapeseed oil. Those are both perfectly good too. So now we just let our dough hook do the mix. You can do all this by hand as well. I just usually find the mixer gives you more even combination. If you want to mix all the dry ingredients together in a bowl and start folding in, that works too, and then you can manually start kneading by hand. So if you see in the mixer, you can see the dough starting to form inside the hook. If it's not pulling off this, if it's looking a little sticky around the sides, just slowly stream in about a tablespoon of flour at a time so it doesn't look sticky. If it looks a little dry, you can stream in about another half a tablespoon of olive oil until it looks good. So we're going to want to keep going for a while, but we want to make sure everything is separated from the bowl. So using our bench scraper, we just want to make sure we pick up any missed pieces off the bottom and off the sides. And we want to keep mixing on about a medium-low speed, and we're going to go for about 4 to 5 minutes just to let the gluten and yeast do its thing. So it's been about 5 minutes now and our dough has formed a nice shiny texture. So now we're just going to transfer it out of the bowl and start a little hand kneading just to finish reshaping it. So after lightly flying our hands, just slide it off the hook. and transfer it to a lightly floured surface to start kneading and finish forming the ball. So again, we want to do the quarter turn knead. So using the base of your palm, the muscle meat, pull forward, stretch, bring back, and shift. And keep doing this until you got a smooth ball shape. You don't want to risk overworking it, but you want to start to feel like an elastic texture. Again, if it starts feeling a little too sticky, we'll just add a little more flour. You usually find it best just to sprinkle with your hands a little bit so you slowly incorporate it without getting any air pockets. And this part's really fun for the kids too. It kind of feels like Play-Doh and still a little warm in your hand. It makes them feel it's a very interactive, fun project too. So now we've got a smooth ball form. This equals about 1 thick crust pizza as this recipe. This is a good item thing too for kids to break down. This is a good one if you just cut it in half. You can form 2 thin-inch pizzas for them to do individual pizzas. But for this cause, my wife and I are just gonna eat 1 pizza together tonight, so we're just gonna leave it whole. So from here, we just transfer the dough to a lightly greased bowl, and we're just gonna let it rest in a warm spot covered for about an hour and just let the yeast do its thing and rise, and we'll come back after it's risen. Okay, it's been about an hour and a half and we've let our dough properly proof, so it's about doubled in size. So first we're just gonna punch it down, release some of the air pockets, and transfer it to a container, or pan. So if you have like a wood paddle at home, this is a good time to just brush it with your flour or semolina flour. Here we're just using a pizza pan. If you're looking for like a Chicago style pizza as well, you can use simply like a cake pan or even just like a pie crust for it. So this is a moment where you could be using a rolling pin, but especially it's fun for kids just to really feel the dough. So I just usually like to use my hands and slowly start spreading the crust out. So I'm pulling to both sides to evenly stretch it, so we're not trying to get too thin of a spot and not too fat of a spot. And we're just slowly stretching it all the way to the corners. Trying to keep a smooth and even texture all the way around. If you add a little semolina flour underneath it, that's typically what you see in a lot of pizza crust. That's what you usually get is like the texture underneath to keep it crust, like a hard crust. Otherwise, if we're cooked on the pan, you might get a little softer interior and more of like a crusty top instead. If you're looking for a really thinner and crustier pizza, add the semolina flour. Okay, once you have your dough ready, then you just got to build it however you want. So we just use like Supreme Pizza, so we're just kind of building one of those. So, I mean, whatever you got in the kitchen, roll with that. So most pizzas, I start with the sauce as the base. Usually start with a thin layer. If you get a little too thick, it's going to get a little wet. You're going to make your bottom crust a little too soggy as well. So start thin, you can always add more, but build your pizza to whatever your preference is. Depending on whether you want toppings underneath or on top, I usually like to do the cheese first just so I can get a little extra cook on top of the vegetables and I can see them too, and it's better for color and presentation. Just some cooked down Italian sausage. had some broccolini in the fridge you want to get rid of, and we just really like broccoli in this house, so we're just going to have a little bit of this too. Again, this is a fun thing for the kids, just kind of put a couple toppings out on the bar and just kind of have them build their own individual pizzas. Get a little crazy. You can throw some Alfredo sauce out there, barbecue sauce, whatever they're into, any different types of meats, different types of vegetables, different types of cheese. So just some red bell pepper. We got a little red onion. And we're going to finish it off with a little dry oregano and a little bit of pepper flakes. And our pizza's ready for the oven. So a lot of pizzas and a lot of ovens at home are going to cook a little bit differently. So basically, I'm going to start this one, just throw it in our oven at 425 degrees, and it's going to cook for about 20 minutes or so. If you're trying to do one of like a thin crust pizza or a stone one, you might want to go a little bit 450 to 500 degrees, but it's all based on your preference on how soft or crispy you want your crust and the cheese. So we'll be back with a pizza. Alright guys, I just took the pizza out of the oven. Again, it was in there for 20 minutes and cooked it at 425 degrees, and now we're ready to eat. It's been fun making pizza with you guys today. If you got any questions, please just give me a shout out. Just email me at ssinger@michiganshores.org, or if you got any questions or ideas for what we can make next, just give me a holler. It's been fun. Thanks. Bye.